Today, we will be finding the arc length of a circle. If you look at the picture to the left, L is referring to this length right here. That is the arc length. Remember, R stands for the radius and X is the degree measure. In order to find the arc length, we have to use the fact that the arc length is equal, so L is equal to the degree measure, which is X, times whatever the circumference is, divided by 360. Now, the reason why we divide it by 360 is because 360 degrees is how many degrees are in a circle. So depending on what angle we're given, that portion is what we're trying to find for the arc length, keeping in mind that the circumference is equal to 2 pi r or pi d, depending on if you're given the radius or the diameter. So the only really hard part about this is that we're using a formula within a formula. So we have to be really careful. We have to remember that C stands for circumference, and that has its own implications as we're trying these problems. So for number one, the arc length, so L, is equal to 107, which is the degree measure, times the circumference over 360. Now, when I do the circumference of this circle, I'm going to do this down here, that is equal to 2 pi r. I know r is 6. So 2 times pi times 6 is 12 pi. That is equal to the circumference. So that will get placed in the formula for C. And so what happens is I have 107 times 12 pi over 360, keeping in mind that 12 pi is the circumference. When I multiply this out, and I will use like an online calculator or a calculator on my phone to do this, I'm simply going to do 107 times 12. 107 times 12 is 1284. And then pi will just drop over 360. And then I can actually do 1284 times pi, or times 3.14, and then divide that by 360. And I get approximately 11.21 meters. So we're going to do a few more together. For number two, same idea, and I'll go back to the same colors here. I have the arc length is equal to the degree measure, which is 38, times whatever the circumference is, divided by 360. But to figure out the circumference, I'm actually going to go off to the side. So C is equal to 2 pi times r. In this case, r is 15. And that would be 30 pi. So that's the circumference. That's going to go in here to the formula right here. So I end up having, 38 times 30 pi divided by 360. I can do 38 times 30, which is 1140, and the pi just drops down, over 360. So 1140 times pi divided by 360. And then in my calculator, I can do 1140 times 3.14, and then divide that number by 360. That's going to give me approximately 9.95 inches. And keeping in mind that what we're finding is this length right here. If I were to flatten that length out, it would be 9.95 inches. Okay, so we're going to try two more. And let me just make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so for number three, same idea. I'm going to go back to the different color. The length is equal to the measure, the degree measure. But we have to be really careful. They're trying to trick you, and this isn't nice. But 142 is actually referring to this part of the circle. That's a central angle to this part of the circle. So that is not going to help us. What we need is this green part over here. Well, I know a whole circle is 360 degrees. So 360 minus 142, which is 218. That's the actual degree measure I need. because I am referring to this part of the circle. So I'm going to have 218 times the circumference, which I'm going to have to find off to the side. So I'm going to kind of leave that part blank right there, divided by 360. Now I have to go off to the side for the circumference. So the circumference is equal to 2 pi r. In this case, r is 4. So 2 times pi times 4 is just 2 times 4, which is 8. The pi just drops down. So circumference is equal to 8 pi. That's what's going to go in place right here. Now, when you get to this step, it's just a matter of your calculator. So you can do 218 times 8, which is 1744 pi, and then divided by 360. And what we can do is, at this point, we can do 1744 times 3.14 divided by 360. And that would give us approximately 15.22 centimeters. Keeping in mind, you can actually do mostly all of these calculations on your phone. So you don't really need a calculator, but you can go online to get one if you need one. Okay, so we're going to do one more together. So same idea. I'm going to have the length is equal to, and when I look at the picture, I can see that the 288 is referring to this outside part of the circle, which is not what we're trying to find. So once again, we're trying to find this little space here, and that does not go with 288. So I'm going to have to do 360 minus 288 again, and that gives me 72. So 72 degrees is the angle I need. So I'm going to have 72 times the circumference over 360. But once again, the circumference, I don't know what that is. So I have to go off to the side. So C equals 2 pi times r, which is 9.5. And so my circumference is 2 times 9.5, which is 19. So 19 pi would go here. And that's what C is equal to. So in my formula, I'm going to have 72 times the circumference, which in this case is 19 pi. And then I can do 72 times 19, which is 1368. The pi would just drop down over 360. And then at this point, I can do 1368 times 3.14 divided by 360, which is 11.94 feet, approximately, of course. All right, I hope this helps, and you guys will have a quizzes coming up on the second part of the week. All right, bye.